Pledge of allegiance.
7 o'clock, everybody. After we say the pledge, if you don't mind, just remain standing. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just like to take a moment of silence to remember those who have died in our military in honor of the upcoming Memorial Day. Thank you. First on our agenda today is the public hearing. We have our applicant, Brent Kunis, OCWB Properties LLC, 32 West Main Street, the application for site plan, section block and lot 3-25-21 in the ND zoning district. Proposal include demolition of existing structure and seeking approval to construct a business center development. Would either of the board members like to make a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody here from the public want to comment?
So maybe you want to have the board, the applicant briefly present.
Sorry.
Sure. I'll just do a brief recap. My name is Ryan Fellenser with Fellenser Engineering. This project is the Orange County Data Site Plan at 32 West Main Street. The project consists of constructing a 3,400 square foot, single-story retail or slash restaurant commercial building. The building will be comprised of 3 separate units, each 1,800 square feet. There we go. So 3 separate units. 1 unit will be Orange County Vehicle, 1 unit will be Dr. Thomas's practice, and another unit will be rented out to office type business. The site plan accounts for the parking requirements. For your zoning, we have the use of porous asphalt that we're going to use, as well to offset the asphalt pavement, impervious pavement, maximum percentage in your zoning as well. We have parking spaces for ADA access in the rear of the building. And we also have locations for proposed waste enclosure, dumpster enclosure, which will be vinyl, siding, type fencing. And we have some minor grading out front of the building around here where my cursor is. Hard to see, there we go, just for the proposed patio. And this project will also include some site lighting, which we have briefly discussed at length in other meetings. But here's a site lighting plan that gives you a point-by-point analysis, and we're going to propose fixtures that match the village's decorative H1 style glass fixtures that they have. And then the rest of the plan, we have landscaping with details and images of what we'd like to use. And after that is our typical construction details for the remaining improvements on the site. We did get letters back from State Historic Preservation Office as well as County Planning, which we can discuss. And we do have the return receipts for the public notice. So we'll get to Stephanie. And we'll answer any comments, questions, concerns of the public.
Did you have an elevation view of the building?
Right here.
Oh, there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on the
Yeah.
on the screen.
Thanks.
Here's our proposed elevation, front elevation here of
a comment about the dumpster enclosure. With the amount of snow and things that we get up here, fences don't usually last too long. Is the block surround better? And is that possible?
I'm sorry, the question was?
Fences, vinyl fences, one, I take a beating in the winter months because of the snow. They get pushed with the plows, et cetera. Is a block enclosure a possibility?
So we looked into having a block enclosure. That also is a trade-off with running into those and having blocks kind of get dislodged, and they do kind of have the same issue no matter what kind of material you put up there. So we did look at doing the masonry type block. We felt that the vinyl would have been a little bit easier to maintain. If there was some damage done, it could quickly be repaired as opposed to a masonry block, which would be a little bit more challenging to patch and repair. So the vinyl has a detail for it. See,
I saw it.
901.
The fence line that divides the Dunkin' Donuts Subway property and this one, I know that fence is going to be repaired. Is that your fence or their fence or our fence?
It's a good question, and I don't know if we're entirely sure whose fence it is, but we do plan on at least reaching out to the neighbor and discussing just repairing this fence. And we'll coordinate with them. It will be repaired as part of the project.
And based on the orientation of the fence, assuming it was installed correctly, it belongs with the Betty's property.
That's what it looks like, but there are some areas where it's very close to the adjacent
Understood.
property.
Okay, bottom line, fence is going to be repaired.
That's correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Just want to confirm with regard to correspondence from SHPO and your own findings, that you thoroughly investigated the structural integrity of the building, and based on your findings and opinion, if you could just state for everybody the reasoning for the demolition and if you found your findings on the structure.
Yeah, I mean, the structure itself, I mean, on the inside, it's fairly damaged from smoke and fire. Just given the nature of the proposed plan and the proposed size of the building that the applicants need, the structure has to come down. It just makes sense safety-wise, structurally, economically. For ADA accessibility as well, it would be very, very difficult to meet current requirements for ADA and retrofit what the applicants need on the site to what that existing structure is. However, I am aware, I believe, it's my understanding that Mr. Tanius will try to salvage at least some of the items on the buildings. I think some of the stonework that he'd like to try to keep and possibly reuse on the new site. So I think that was one of SHPO's other recommendations, if they could try to, if the building had to come down, we could try to at least salvage or keep or restore some of the items on site. So I think we do intend to actually keep whatever we can and incorporate it onto the site.
Before demolition, will there be some sort of walkthrough with representatives from these organizations? Who's going to establish what's salvageable, what's not? You know, will the historical organizations
Yeah,
part of that?
we'll have to look at that with his demolition contractor.
Yeah, we're currently looking to see what can be salvageable. The stonework, it looks absolutely can be salvageable. There's some, beautiful old beams in there that we'd like to, but it really comes down to who's going to be looking at it and letting us know.
Yeah, so I had discussed this with Ryan, and it comes from SHPO's letter as well. One of the recommendations, if it was found that the building itself would not be able to be salvaged, if it was going to in fact be demolished, then you would allow both the village historian and then, if interested, the Orange County historian to at least take pictures of the exterior portion of the property so that they can document it. And I also spoke to Ryan about if possible, and if you find that it's safe, to allow them inside to see whatever is left. I mean, I understand it's pretty charred, there's nothing really left.
Well, what happened was they've completely gutted out the whole building. There's absolutely no sheetrock.
Oh, okay.
It's down to the actual bare wood.
Okay.
There are two very nice old historic fireplaces in there, which I think I have somebody interested in at this point. But, I mean, if they want to take a look at it, I'm sure you're probably have to close to that.
Yeah, for documentation purposes, I think
Yeah,
it would be appropriate.
I think,
Not the interior.
I think the exterior, at least, yeah, just for safety reasons, allowing other people to come in.
So just the
We
exterior.
could at least certainly let the Village Historical Society or Town of Blooming Grove know the dates that we plan on starting demolition. They can come before that.
Yeah,
We
we
can
can
set something up.
coordinate. I haven't reached out to the village historian yet, but my intention was to see what the board wanted to see from you folks in that regard. I think the consensus is that you would like documentation to occur of at least the outside. And then obviously the requirement that you will salvage whatever you can and if possible reuse it.
There's very little to salvage, unfortunately, because of the way it is. But other than the stones, the main thing.
The only other thing I would add is that if either Orange County historian or the village historian can point items from the exterior that they would be interested in taking and keeping, if you would coordinate with them to allow, them to do that, assuming that, of course, if you go to take down a window, then it crumbles, obviously, it is what it is, but.
And unfortunately, because of, that could be very timely to dismantle or something like that, you know what I mean? It all depends on what it would be, you know what I mean?
The historical aspect of that building is extremely important to many residents in
I
the
understand.
village. So
Sure.
if you're open to that, we would.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a walkthrough with at least our historian and/or the county historian, do the walkthrough. If you don't want something, but they do, we would be open to working with them to preserve it.
Absolutely.
Only circling back on a comment you made, you said the interior of the building's already gutted. Was that from you, or was that?
No, whoever owned the property before, I guess it was an extensive fire, so it looks like they might have, to me, because of the extensive work that was done, that it might have been required to be done, but we have not touched the building.
Okay.
All engineering comments as of now have been addressed.
Open up to the public.
Yeah, if you could just ask them to make sure that they state their name and address for the record.
Anyone from the public like to make a comment?
Susan Walsky, 24 South Street, Village of Washingtonville, New York. It would be nice if we could see a artistic rendering of the front elevation with the landscaping in it to get a better sense of what's going to be planted there and how it's going to look from the street view. What size trucks are they planning on having delivered to the back of the building? Is there enough room so we can avoid having street side deliveries on it? West Main Street has enough traffic on it. I don't think you're gonna get a 46-foot turnaround back there. Most I'm saying you could probably get is an 18, and that's gonna be tight. The other thing is the crosswalk. I understand that this particular building is gonna be exercising usage of the municipal lot across the street. So clearly and visibly marked crosswalks with sometimes up and sometimes down. In the middle of the road, the crosswalk sign, so people do know that they have to stop. It's state law, because I see that as a really big potential hazard. The kids in and out of school, and I'm sure it's going to be a very popular spot for them, because they all come out hungry for some reason. But their safety has to be the #1 priority.
So,
I can discuss the crosswalk if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. So as many of you know, West Main Street is State Route 94. The applicant has been in contact with DOT, asking them whether they would entertain the idea of having a crosswalk. By direction of this board, they directed them to reach out to DOT and see if a crosswalk was a possibility. DOT said that they have no comment, and anything would have to be done through the village if wanted. But the village has no jurisdiction over telling them if they have to put a crosswalk because it's a state route, unfortunately.
No, but the village can contact the state and request as well on behalf of the village.
The village did make a request from DOT a couple of years ago, and were denied, but they can make the
That's
request.
a couple of years ago. It's,
And like I just said, they can make the request again, but it has been considered.
so I'm just asking that a new request from the village be entered, asked of the DOT for a marked crosswalk with curb cuts.
I've been in contact with you for the mayor.
Okay.
They, we'll discuss this further. They're concerned with the number of crosswalks already existing in the village on that road, so we'll see what we can do certainly.
My name is Russell Howell, and my hearing is very poor, so if somebody has already addressed this, I apologize. This area is very low lying, and 10 years ago, during Hurricane Irene, this whole area was deep underwater. It's a flood zone. Has that been addressed? And how so?
Yeah, sure. So we actually, on the plan, we have the floodplain delineated, 100-year storm. The building will be outside of that 100-year floodplain. So if there were a very large storm that caused over 8 inches of rain, the building will not be affected.
That storm, Hurricane Irene, was probably more than a 100-year storm, but it seems like we have a 100-year storm about every 10 years or so, so I wouldn't get too confident.
Understood, but we did do a floodplain analysis. We did locate it on the plan, and we did consider it when adjusting the first floor elevation of the building.
Where would the water level be during a 100-year storm?
Let's see, let me zoom in. This kind of dotted dashed line right here is the level of the 100-year floodplain. A few feet below them. Right, so it's a few feet below the first floor elevation. And there's no basement. No basement, slab on grade construction.
Any other comments from the public?
Do you have a copy of the hard copy of the documents? So it's hard to know which
If I don't have it here, I certainly have that.
I have it on my email, but
Yeah.
just checking, thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for your comments.
So the board at this point has options. You can decide if you would wish to keep the public hearing open. If you feel like there's more comments that you need to hear in order to make any determinations, especially under secret. That would be your main concern, is any more comments that are needed under secret. You can also close the public hearing. Upon closing the public hearing, you can then decide whether or not you wish to adopt a negative declaration under secret, which would essentially end the secret process and find that there are no significant adverse environmental impacts based upon the proposed action, which is the demolition and build. I did prepare a draft for the board to review. I don't know if anybody has any comments on that, but that would be.
I have no further questions or comments, and I'm satisfied with everything that's been presented and all the public comments and comments from our professionals. Bob, Rich?
I'm satisfied with my other questions for us.
I'm satisfied. I think that the applicant has met all the requirements that we expected, and I think that the secret was complete, and they've agreed to let us document the building, so we're good to go.
So I just need a motion
So,
to close the
motion to
public
close the
hearing.
public hearing, yep.
Make a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Closing the secret.
So, right, the next step would be, well, one, I would ask if you want me to read the negative declaration into the record. I can do that.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes. It's okay, I was taking notes.
Okay. So, negative declaration, Village of Washingtonville Planning Board, determination. In accordance with the provisions of Secret 6 Nitre Part 617.7, the Village of Washingtonville Planning Board, acting as lead agency for this unlisted action involving coordinated secret review, having reviewed and analyzed a short environmental assessment form with supporting environmental analysis and site plans for proposed property and its use, has determined that the action as set forth below will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and the planning board hereby adopts this negative declaration. Going to list lead agency, the contact name of the project, the Orange County Bagel Site Plan, location 32 West Main Street, NY Route 94, Washingtonville, New York. Section 112, Block 4, Lot 18, Zone Neighborhood Business, status, unlisted action, coordinated review. Proposed action. OCWB Properties LLC, the applicant and owner, is seeking site plan approval for a 5,400 square foot business center development on approximately 0.6 acres of tract of land. This is a permitted use in the NB district. The applicant will require 6 variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals, which board will resume reviewing this matter once the lead agency has completed secret review. The property is located at 32 West Main Street, Section Block and Lot 112-418. The plans and documents that are subject to this negative declaration are as follows. 1. Orange County Department of Planning GML letter dated May 6, 2021. The site plan for Orange County Bagel dated May 18, 2021, including a landscaping plan, lighting plan, and erosion and settlement control plan, along with other construction specifications. 3. Planning Board application dated March 25, 2021. 4. New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation letter dated May 7, 2021. 5. Correspondence with New York State DOT dated April 26, 28, and 29, 2021. Short environmental assessment form, Part 1, dated March 10, 2021. Correspondence from Village Engineer John Petrozzini, PEPLLC, dated January 13, 2021, April 7, April 29, May 24, 2021. Correspondent from applicant's engineer, Fellenser Engineering LLP, dated January 12th, March 10th, March 15th, March 25th, April 22nd, and May 19th. Background and reasons supporting the negative declaration. Based upon review of submitted plans and materials, comments by the board's professionals, input from various involved and interested agencies, and public comments made in the course of the public hearing process, and a review of the short environmental assessment form and supplementary materials, it has been determined that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. The following shall serve as the planning board's evaluation of potential environmental concerns. Impacts on land. The proposed action will have a minimum impact on the land through the construction of a business center development structure, a driveway, and a parking lot. The applicant has proposed mitigation plans to address any impacts. The proposed action will disturb approximately 0.26 acres, including the existing building envelope, and will increase impervious surfaces on site. The current amount of impervious surfaces on the property is 17,618 square feet. The post-development impervious surfaces would increase it to 18,972 square feet. The slight increase will cause minimum change in drainage patterns during construction and after construction. The stormwater runoff will be mitigated by on-site stormwater runoff storage that is provided beneath the pervious pavement in the form of 8-inch of clean washed angular stone with 40% void space, and beneath the pervious pavers in the form of 6-inch of clean washed angular stone with 40% void space. The runoff should not exceed existing conditions upon completion of construction, and discharge points should remain the same during pre- and post-construction. The applicant has proposed adequate erosion control measures to mitigate runoff issues on the site. The subject property is relatively flat, and no portion of the plan exceed a 50% slope. The plan includes a proposed silt fence along the southwestern property line to control and intercept runoff. The proposed action estimates construction to continue for 6 months. The construction of the site will not take multiple phases to complete. The board finds that if the applicant implements the stormwater measures identified in the erosion and sediment control plan, the proposed action will not result in significant adverse impact. Impacts on geological features. No unique geological resources are located on the site. Impacts on water, including surface water, groundwater, floodplains, and wetlands. The proposed action will not have a significant adverse environmental impact on any wetlands or other surface water bodies. A riverine-type wetland adjoins the project site, but it is not regulated by the DEC. The proposed action will not encroach or disturb the wetland, thus the proposed action will not have a significant adverse environmental impact with regard to such wetland. The applicant has proposed adequate erosion control measures to mitigate impacts to water resources from erosion, which measures were reviewed and approved by the planning board engineer. Impacts in nearby water bodies from stormwater runoff should be minimal due to the applicant's erosion control plan. In addition, the erosion plan adequately addressed the proposed action's impact to flooding. The proposed action will not have a significant environmental impact with respect to new or additional use of groundwater. It will not have a significant adverse environmental impact with respect to the introduction of contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. The anticipated water demand per day is 350 gallons with a peak flow of 1,150 gallons per day, which the existing water supply has capacity to service in a sustainable manner. The proposed action will not require a water line extension to supply the project. The proposed project will connect the existing 4-inch sanitary sewer service to the municipal main. The existing 3/4-inch water service will be replaced with a 1-inch diameter piping per Village of Washingtonville Department of Public Works specifications. The applicant will verify the location and sizes of existing utilities prior to construction. The proposed action is not anticipated to have a significant environmental impact with respect to drainage or the development of land subject to flooding. The project is located within the 100-year floodplain. The applicant's erosion control plan was reviewed and validated by the village engineer. The project was designed such that any development would not cause a decrease in the available 100-year flood storage on site. The village engineer and building department will confirm that there will be no increase in the available 100-year flood storage space on site, no decrease in the available 100-year flood storage space on site prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Impact of traffic safety, and transportation. The site is located on Route 94, which is a state highway. This project will require a standard highway work permit from the New York State Department of Transportation. The proposed action will not have a significant adverse environmental impact on existing traffic or transportation systems. The additional traffic generated by the proposed project will be minimal in comparison to the previous restaurant used at the site and will not significantly impact on the surrounding roadways. The project will not result in a drop in the level of service of surrounding roadways. The proposed action will not degrade existing transit access or existing pedestrian/bicycle accommodations, and the existing sidewalks will remain. Impacts on plants and animals. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Environmental Resource Mapper, confirmed that the site is not located in an area where there were recorded instances of endangered or threatened flora or fauna or either state or federally listed species. The proposed action will not have a significant adverse environmental impact with respect to loss of flora or fauna. The project site is located in an area known to contain suitable habitat for the Indiana bat and northern long-eared bat. To mitigate this, the applicant has agreed that tree cutting shall occur only between November 1 and March 31. The mitigation measure is also supported by the Orange County Planning Department advisory comments dated May 6, 2021. The proposed action will remove a small number of trees. The landscaping is proposed to mitigate this loss. As such, the proposed action will not have a significant adverse impact with respect to loss of habitat suitable for the identified endangered species. Impacts on agricultural resources. This project is not used for agricultural purposes, nor is it located in the state-certified agricultural district. Based on the foregoing, the proposed action is not anticipated to result in any significant adverse impacts to agricultural resources. Impact on aesthetic, historic, and archaeological resources. The proposed action is located on a main street in the village's downtown, and as such, no significant adverse environmental impact will be had on the aesthetics of the area. A landscape plan has been proposed that will enhance aesthetics of the village's downtown, as noted by the Orange County Planning Department's advisory comments dated May 6, 2021. The proposed action includes the demolition of an existing circa 1830 two-story former residence known locally as Betty's Country Kitchen, which is eligible for listing in the state and national historic registers of places. Demolition of a building eligible for listing in the state and national registers is an adverse environmental impact with regard to historic resources. However, given that the subject building was recently subject to a fire that destroyed most of the interior, the impact would not be significant. To further mitigate any impacts in this regard, the applicant will be required and has agreed to 1. Coordinate with the Village of Washingtonville historian and Orange County historian to fully document the exterior structure of the existing building, and 2. Salvage any and all building materials such as the windows and stonework, to repurpose into the current design. See correspondence from Felser Engineering dated May 19th. There are no known archaeological resources at the project site, and the Archaeological Unit of the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation Historic Preservation confirmed that there are no archaeological concerns by a letter dated May 7th. Impact on open space and recreation. The proposed project creates no new residential uses and therefore generates no new demand for recreational facilities and no adverse impacts on same. The project site is not located within view of any town, or state recreational trails, so there will be no impact on same. Impact on critical environmental areas. This project will not have a significant adverse impact on a critical environmental area because it is not located in one, it does not adjoin a state-listed critical environmental area. Impacts on planning and zoning, growth, or community character. The proposed action will require 6 variances from the Village of Washingtonville Zoning Board of Appeals. Although the proposed action is inconsistent with the village's adopted zoning code, the proposed action's effect on community character will not be substantial. The project site is located in the village's downtown, which has a plethora of mixed commercial uses, including restaurants and business offices. The proposed project is a permitted use in the NB district and does not significantly impact the character of either the NB district or the village's downtown. Although the variance requests conflict with the vision of the village's comprehensive plan, the uses do not, as the village wishes to encourage a variety of commercial businesses in its downtown. The proposed use of restaurant and offices blends well with the neighboring commercial area. Further, the proposed action is not introducing a heavy industrial use that would significantly adversely impact the character of the community. Lastly, the proposed action adequately mitigates the minimal impacts through their landscape and stormwater management plans. Impacts on energy, noise, light, odor, and air quality. During construction, the proposed action will produce noise that will exceed existing ambient noise levels. This was identified as a potential area of concern. The noise levels are temporary, as this is a single-phase project that will last only 6 months. In addition, the project will operate only during the hours that Chapter 199 of the Village Code enables it to. The project will meet all local noise regulations found in Chapter 199 of the Village Code after construction is complete as well. The proposed action will not result in an increase of lighting on the project site. Will result in an increase of lighting on the project site. The applicant's lighting plan meets the requirements of the village's zoning code, except that some of the light spills onto neighboring properties. The village engineer has identified that the reason for the light spillage is partially due to the proposed use of some non-shielded fixtures, which type of fixture is consistent with existing lighting in the village's downtown. See correspondence from John Petrosini dated April 7th. In particular, the discussed purpose of installing the non-shielded lighting is to maintain the historic character of the village's downtown, taking into consideration the project site vicinity to the Moffett Library. No significant adverse impacts are anticipated as a result of the proposed action with regard to the lighting for the following reasons. 1. The non-shielded lighting is intended to enhance the community aesthetic. 2. The non-shielded lighting will remain a consistent and historical aesthetic in the village's downtown and takes into consideration historically significant nearby properties. 3. None of the adjoining properties contain any residential uses. And 4. The village desires additional lighting of the public sidewalks along the project site's frontage on New York State Route 94. The proposed action will not have a significant adverse environmental impact as a result of an increase in the use of any form of energy. The existing energy infrastructure would continue to serve the project site. The proposed action does not require a new or an upgrade to any existing substation. The proposed action is not anticipated to generate any noxious odors, and no adverse impacts are anticipated. Impact on human health. Prior to the commencement of demolition, the applicant will have an asbestos survey performed by a qualified inspector. Should any asbestos be encountered, abatement will be